Hello, welcome back. Firstly, thank you for watching, and it's really fun sharing my experience with you. So in the last video, we talked about self-awareness being an internal journey and having a conscious understanding of how we work internally. Quite often, we're so busy in life that we don't get to look in and go, oh, what are the thoughts going on in my head, or how do I feel? And self-awareness is that journey of going in and putting the light on and getting in touch with who you truly are and getting to know yourself in a very true way. Quite a lot of people will walk around saying, I know who I am. And really, they're doing it at a subconscious level. They don't have a conscious or objective awareness. They think they are their thoughts and their emotions. They're not able to objectively observe who they are and know themselves for who they truly are. So that's why the self-awareness journey is really important and not as simple as it seems, because quite often I think our ego likes to think, or we think we are our ego, and is able to give us a million conclusions as to who we are. Anyway, today I wanted to move it along a little bit and talk about consciousness. This is a huge word and topic, and I'm just going to talk about it in simple terms in the way that I understand. So, consciousness at a basic level is basically being conscious, having brain function, being a conscious living thing. At another level, it's being conscious of yourself, like we said, having self-awareness. It is the understanding how you process information and how you operate. So that is you being conscious. With the self-awareness, it's that difference between being subconscious or operating at the cartoon level and thinking that's you. So so what happens when you go on this inner journey and you begin to understand yourself is you become conscious of the outside world as well. You begin to have your eyes open, and you change your perspective on it's almost like, the curtains open and you're able to see things with a very different pair of eyes to the ones you saw before. And again, it begins to be a very objective view of the world. So this is what consciousness means to me at this moment in time. It is that waking up, and it's that looking at the bigger picture of life and going, okay. So with awareness, as your awareness expands, it's only right that it expands beyond you and into your environment. So on a personal level, things seem different, and on the outside level, things seem different. So on a personal level, you begin to be more self-reliant. You have less of a need to be a type of thing or a type of person. You tend to just stand in your own power, which we've said. You tend to have much more of a focus. You kind of know what's important. You tend to have a lot of foresight, a lot of kind of clear thinking. I mean, like I said, it's not like, oh, suddenly you're a clear person. For me, definitely, it's been a journey of, oh, okay, I'm getting much more clearer on who I am. I'm getting much more clearer on my thinking. I'm getting much more clearer on my focus. And on the outside world, a lot of things change as well. So you begin to understand the oneness of everything. I explained to you my experience of the tree outside my house. So basically what happened there, I mean, especially when I was living in London, in a big city where, I was busy, busy, busy. I've walked past 100 trees and not saw it as anything other than nothing, actually. I don't even think I saw it. I just walk, and coming and living and being surrounded by trees Again, it wasn't really, it was a gradual thing of, okay, yes, trees, yes, yes. But having that one experience where I was looking out the window and to feel that tree as an alive being, I'd never experienced that. It was quite a magical feeling for me and one that I will treasure. Um, and quite often I think, and it, we are so busy that we don't get to see what's right in front of our eyes quite a lot of the times. And in that moment, I was able to see the majestic nature of the tree, and respect it and honor it and see the oneness of it and the fact that it was alive. And it inspired me to want to protect it, to honor it, respect it. So that was one of the first experiences I had, that feeling of oneness and aliveness. Um, and another experience I had. So these are the things that changed for me externally. So we took our children to the zoo, as one does, and I was all in. We in the car, off we go. We arrived there, and I had a terrible experience. I think to the point where my husband even at one point said, "Just go and wait in the car. You're ruining it for everyone." I just couldn't. I just felt terrible in the zoo, seeing all the animals kind of caged in. I think I broke down at the hippo bit because having seen animals in the wild in Africa, and seeing this hippo with a tiny enclosure, with a tiny pool. It's like the size of like a household swimming pool, and normally it would be, swimming in huge, huge rivers. And I just felt really terrible. And I know, some zoos are doing their conservation and what have you, but I don't know. This is just how I felt. I felt really, and I haven't been able to step into a zoo since. I just felt like I just couldn't watch these animals being kind of, you know, caged. um, so another thing that happened to me was um, I remember having the fear of death kind of release from me. I will say a little bit at this point because I think I'm not sure if I'm all the way there. If somebody really close to me went, I don't think. Obviously, I would have my process of grieving and I would feel um, devastated. And also, I think maybe having experienced it very young with my dad, um, it also feels like maybe it's something you can get over. But the realization I had, and I remember telling a friend, it was just such a weird thing to say, but I remember saying to him, I don't know, I'm not scared of death. And I mentioned somebody who's very important to me, and I said, even if that person was to go, I would love them, and love doesn't stop. And I remember them looking at me like, okay. But that fear of death kind of changes, you know, and also recently talking to a friend about how love knows no boundaries to me. That's how it feels like. Um, like I'm far away from my family in London, for example, but I still feel their love, even though and my mother as well, who still lives in Ethiopia. We're so far apart, but love knows no boundaries. And I think that boundary goes beyond death. And I don't know. And also, it felt like something within us is eternal, um, and something that can't be broken even by death, or you know what I mean? Like it just felt like that to me in my experience. So I'm just sharing with you some of the kind of, I guess, realizations that you get to have. But yeah, so that was one of the things. Death didn't seem as a frightening thing as it did to me in the past. I don't know what happened there. But another experience I had from like how my external world changed and how I saw things was I remember looking at my beautiful daughter and thinking, just having a realization one day that, oh my goodness, okay, you came through me, but you're your own being. That concept of ownership, like you're mine, this is mine. I realized that she belongs to herself, and but we are still bound by love. and oneness. And it was just so beautiful. And in that moment, I was able to see her for who she is rather than all my projections of her as my possession. Um, and so, yeah, so a lot of perspectives change when you begin to have increased level of awareness or consciousness. And one of the greatest things about having increased awareness, which leads to, not just you looking at your world inside and kind of realizing and having the lights on, but it kind of puts the world on outside because it helps you see beyond what's going on. You know, like things like, um, you're able to see beyond the news, you're able to see beyond adverts, you're able to process a lot of information without automatically always concluding. I think the ego or our brain likes to conclude things, have them in a neat box, because it makes life easier. It puts things in a box, and sometimes that's not the way it is. So I guess I allow things to be and see things for what they are much more than I used to. I'm not completely there where I'm making no conclusions. I'm still uncovering and learning, but I'm definitely in a place where I'm open. I'm open much more than I am conclusive or closed, you know. Um, and yeah, and I would say as a last thing, I think consciousness is basically truth. Um, I guess it feels like a definite knowing. It's hard to explain. It's hard to mentalize or verbalize. It's just like these feelings that you have, and they come at just different times. All of these experiences I've talked to you about, the zoo and the tree. I mean, the tree really had an impact on me to the point where I set up lots of things in my community, wanting to um, do as much as I can for our planet. And the zoo, it's meant that I don't really step into zoos anymore, or I haven't so far. I haven't been able to go back. So all of these experiences happened at different times. It was a period of, a year and a half. They weren't just, oh, okay, I'm awake now, and then bang, bang, bang. It wasn't like that. And I don't know what's more to come. And as it comes, I will share, like my daughter as well, seeing her as an autonomous being, as well as, even though she came through this portal, she is her own person. And to respect her in that way, and have that realization. So when it's these kind of true knowings that come out of, having self-awareness, spending time getting to know yourself, having your eyes open. It's like awakening to truth. And to me, like I said, it's like the most important journey I've ever gone on, because it's a definite knowing. It's a definite, it's a strong knowing inside. Though it may be hard to verbalize, it is, it just is. And I think this is why it's hard in a way for people who speak of, I guess, what you'd call an awareness journey or a spiritual journey. Trying to explain it, it might not seem like it makes sense. But when you begin to do it for yourself, you will have an experience of it. You'll know it through your own experience rather than the words I'm saying to you. But it's definitely a game changer. It's definitely truth. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you about truth. Sorry, consciousness. I think when you begin to look inside, your perspective changes on the outside, and you're able to see things very differently. But yes, so I wanted to talk about fear and love, because those two emotions are the most, I guess, governing emotions in the way we operate. And I'll talk to about that in the next video. Thank you for listening, and yeah, catch you in the next video. Bye.